Hello everyone, welcome to Lever Guns 50. Today we're looking at some small bores, and this is a 53 Winchester, and this one here is in 2520, and this one here is a 92 Winchester, and this one here is in 3220. We got to put it together right quick. Let's put it together the correct way. So anyhow, we're going to shoot these guns today and see, we're just going to do a little comparison, because the 32, this 92 is in 3220, which the 3220 come out in 1882, and then later in 1895 it was necked down to 2520, or back then it was known as a 25 repeater, because there was a 25 single shot and then there was the 25 repeater. So this one here we have had for quite a while, and we've made a lot of videos on it, and we'll put some links in every once in a while up here. Just pay attention to the top. And so originally it come out, it didn't say 3220. Originally it said 32 WCF. Now it was originally a black powder cartridge, and it originally used 20 grains of black powder. Now this right here, which is the model 53, which is the same thing as a 92, same action and everything. The 2520 was never a black powder cartridge. When it came out, it was smokeless powder to start with. They had several fairly fast rounds. The 60 grain bullet, when it come out, went 2,200 FPS, which back then that was super high speed. So the let's see, the 53 Winchester, it come out, the 53 Winchester come out in 1924 and was discontinued in 1933. The 92 Winchester come out obviously in 1892 and was discontinued in 1937, which later on they made some reruns of it, and right now Winchester still, I mean, they're back to making them, and you can get you a new one. The newer ones are made in Japan by Maruku, which they do a really good job. Maybe even better than the originals, but I mean, mainly I would say probably because they have better materials to work with. And of course they're going to use the modern technology. So let me bring you in close for a close look at these cartridges, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Now, as you can see, the 3220 is quite a bit larger in diameter. It's not actually 32 caliber, it's more 31 caliber, and the 2520 is 25 caliber. So we've taken deer with both of these. I recently took a 7-point buck with this. My daughter took an 8-point buck with this one here in 3220. And which reminds me of an interesting story my neighbor told me, God rest his soul. He was in Alaska and he was stationed there, and he was offered to go out on a hunt with another guy, and he was just going to be the backup guy in case anything went wrong. And they was hunting grizzly bears, and so they got out there, and that guy, they spotted a grizzly bear, and I think it was between 75 and 100 yards away. So anyhow, he got his 7M Remington Magnum up on that grizzly bear, and he shot it in the shoulder, but the bullet apparently shattered on the shoulder bone, and it didn't really kill the bear. Well, then the guy proceeded to short stroke his bolt action, And when he short stroked it, then he couldn't get it to go either direction, and it was jammed up. That grizzly bear was reared up and was busting off trees about this big around with his paws, and then he figured out where these guys was located, and he took off toward them. And my neighbor was able to throw up his, and he had a Marlin, and the Marlin he had was an 1894, and it's in 44 Magnum, and he called it a jam-o-matic. He said the only thing it wouldn't jam with was Remington 240 grain bullets, which is what he had it loaded with. And so he started, you know, just shooting just as quick as he could as the bear was charging, and then the bear dropped down in like a little valley where he couldn't see it for a minute, and it popped up over the top, and he proceeded to fill that bear full of lead. And if I'm not mistaken, he said the bear, when it dropped, when it died and slid to a halt, it was within 5 steps of him. Now, obviously, the 44 Magnum did a good job. I think the last one he might have placed in its head, but it did the job. It stopped the bear. But you know, that wasn't ideal, because ideal was that guy take a little bit better shot with that 7mm Remington Magnum and drop the bear on the spot. But anyhow, that reminded me of that story. Got off on a sidetrack. So we got some water jugs we got set up. We're going to shoot those just to try to compare the bullets a little bit, maybe the impact. Maybe you can see if the 25-20 with its higher velocity blows the water jugs up more, or the 32-20 with its almost similar velocity, because in the 92 the Winchester actually come out with high velocity loads, and that's what we're going to use. Original loads was pretty slow, but let's get onto these water jugs, and then we'll come back and talk about what we see. Let me throw on my ear protection. The 32-20 or 32 WCF come out first, so that's why we're going to shoot it first. And just like an angle about like this, an angle about like this. It didn't come back at us too bad. It didn't come back at us too bad. Let's check it out. Okay, blew that first jug all to pieces. Let's see. It's inside of this one. It's just got a little hole in it. So it blew through the first one. There's some little spots here where it's damaged it slightly. And stopped in this one. Let's put 2 more jugs up there and shoot it and see if it does the same thing with the 25-20. We'll set them up there, we'll shoot them and see what happens. Put a little bulliette in there and see what she does. Okay, here she goes. Okay, here she goes. Absolutely no recoil. Absolutely no recoil. Let's go check it out and see what it did. Okay, let's see. Looks like it pretty much did the same thing the 3220 did, or yeah. Blew through the first two, come into the second one. It dented the other side of the second one a little bit. I see a bullet in here. Might be two of them in there. Let's see. Look at that. Yep, 2 bullets. Did almost the same exact thing. Take a look at those bullets. Now obviously, this one has a round barrel, has a little tiny button magazine, has the same exact action as the 92, has a little bit different style buttstock. It has this folding up peep sight on it. This one here has an octagon barrel with still a short magazine, but this is also a takedown. This in here is obviously an original. This has the crescent style butt plate. It has also a folding tang mounted peep sight. See right there where the receiver splits, that's where it takes down. Same exact action as the 53. There's your little lever to spin that tubular magazine to unscrew it to take it down. That is the 3220 on the right and the 2520 on the left. They pretty much penetrate about the same, even though the 32 uses up to 115 grain bullet, and we've shot up to 150 grain bullet out of it. The velocity out of them is about, because the 32 gets up to about 2,000 FPS with a really lighter bullet, you know, the lighter bullet, but the 2520, it gets up to about 2,300 feet a second. It's not really a whole lot of difference in velocity, but one of them's 25 caliber, the other is 31 caliber. I think they're both very interesting guns, and they're capable of up to like a whitetail or a deer sized game. Although I wouldn't recommend it, because if you don't prosecute, or if you don't shoot just right and you're not aimed just right, you're liable to just lose your game. You're liable to not find it, because you're going to have to hit it just right, and you're going to have to, I mean, if you're a good enough marksman, it's not going to matter. But if you're not, I wouldn't go with either one of the calibers for deer. I would go with something like the 30-30 or the 32 Winchester Special, or you know, the 35 Remington, because these calibers are very minimal. They're not going to go through a little tiny piece of brush and still get your deer. So that's my thoughts on them. They're both beautiful guns. They're both really nice, and this one here in 2520 is really accurate. It's a tack driver, and the 32 is a tack driver as well. I don't know why they are so accurate. I've seen some other 25s, like a 2520 in one of the Remington pumps, and it splits the cartridges every time, and it's not really that accurate. But this one here is a tack driver, and I really like both these guns. I'm glad I got them, and I hope you guys enjoyed looking at them and seeing how they shoot. I have videos on both of them, you know, shooting them fairly fast, and you know, this one here in 2520, the largest typical 10-point buck ever harvested was taken with a 2520 1892 Winchester. And I think that's pretty interesting. I got a video on that. I'll leave a link down below in the descriptions where you can check out that video. So thank you guys for watching. God bless each and every one of you. Come back and see me, you hear?